Welcome to Dear Sandy. I'm Sandy Galef, a member of the New York State Assembly, representing parts of northern Westchester and parts of Putnam County. And I was a very lucky person. I had an opportunity to go with one of my constituents from Briarcliff who had founded a college for women in India. And I went to India, and it was just such a great experience. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. And I have as my very special guest, the person who arranged this wonderful trip, Dr. Surendra Kaushik. He was from Briarcliff, and he has, we'll have to find out a little bit about why he decided to found this wonderful women's college that I was able to go to. So, Suren, welcome very much. And I didn't say that you were, that you are a professor of finance at the Lubin School of Business at Pace University, both in New York City and in Westchester County. But, and I know you do wonderful work there. But the fact that you opened up a college in India, in the state of Rajasthan, was amazing. So tell us about that.
First of all, a good day to you, and let me, before I go any further, congratulate you on your re-election unopposed this fall season. So congratulations to you. In terms of the college, you know, I came to the States in 1970 as a student, as a graduate student, because I was very lucky on both ends. I was very lucky in India to be among those very few people who had access to higher education, and from among that group, then to have a chance to come to the States for higher education. And it was my lifelong desire to help other people, and I could not think of anything better than trying to give education, particularly to women, and particularly to rural women, and especially, of course, the place where I come from. So those were the reasons.
Right, and you know, having all women be able to have the opportunities to get an education. When we think about the United States, and actually you said you were here in the 70s.
1970.
And I'd gone to college in the 60s, but it wasn't as though there were so many women going to college here. Right. And the expectation was so different about what women would do in their lives in the United States.
And we have seen that actually since the 60s and 70s. The increase in the number of women in this country getting their graduate degrees, getting more college degrees, getting their medical degrees, law degrees, and in the entire women's liberation movement that gave a big push to it, has made a tremendous difference. So today we see, in fact, in the U.S. Universities, more women enrolled in the college degree programs than men, in other words. So we have achieved not only equality, that access to higher education is available to all women and men, but the rest of the world is far from it. Now, of course, the U.S. has a great history, and I asked my students last semester, because it occurred to me, as we look at the world, that countries and people who are on top of this world in terms of development, in terms of art, literature, knowledge, are the countries that have the what I call, they produce and consume more knowledge than anybody else. And there are about 10 or 12 countries in this world who are at the top of the world, according to that criterion. And the United States, of course, is among those. So I asked my students, did they know how many of the founding fathers had college degrees or had attended college, in other words? And I still don't have an exact figure on that. We're still doing research. And maybe the Library of Congress or somebody can help us. But I was not at all surprised that at least 2/3 of the founding fathers who signed the Declaration of Independence had college degrees or attended college in 1776.
And that's
when maybe a handful of people in this world had access to education. Right. And ever since then, it has made all the difference to this country, focusing on education, skills, science, and technology.
And, you know, we all think of people from India especially all the people that we meet here in the United States that live here, that travel here, that study here, that come from India, as so brilliant. And yet, it's such a small part. The educated Indian is just a very small part,
very,
isn't it,
very
of the
small
population?
part. Yeah, actually, in the states we have, in the relevant age population, 18 plus, some 40% of us, 40% of Americans have college degrees. In India, by comparison, it is only around 7%. When it comes to the total population, in the US, we have something like 26, 27% of all Americans with college degrees. In India, as of now, it is only 4% or less, actually. And when it comes to women, only 1.5% of women in India actually have achieved college education. So the people who come to the States are roughly half or 1/3 of these people who had a great privilege of getting higher education. So higher education has been very, very limited. And general education has been very, very limited since independence in 1947, although there has been tremendous increase, great increase. In other words, that 4% we are talking about today, of course, is 300% more than it was at the time of independence. But still, it has a long ways to go.
Right, a very long way. And people that think that India is taking all of our jobs. When I was in India, I realized, no, they're not. They are taking some jobs, but certainly not all of our jobs.
And by the way, women, as I said, have only 1.5% of women in India have college education. In rural areas, of course, that percentage is much, much smaller. So it may be 0.5% of the total women population in India. So in order to give a country a chance, a place a chance, people a chance, you really cannot do unless you have some knowledge, some skill. And certainly, as we have seen in the States, as we have seen in Europe, when it comes to women leaders, such as yourself, such as our Congresswoman, such as our Senator Hillary Clinton or Nita Lowey or yourself, right there, we have 3 people representing me in Westchester, in Albany, in Washington. And what is the distinguishing feature about all of you? You had the chance of great college education, and it allowed you then to follow your dreams of becoming a leader.
Right. And you're trying to establish those dreams in a very rural area. And I realized how rural it was where the Mrs. Surendra Kaushik Women's College is. The college is, what, about 120 miles?
The college is about 150 miles west of New Delhi and 120 miles north of a famous city, the capital of Rajasthan state, Jaipur, known as the Pink City, and it's on every tourist's itinerary to visit Jaipur.
And so I remember when I asked you, all right, how long does it take to get from the college to Delhi? I think you said at like 120, 150 miles. So I'm thinking like 2.5 hours. I'm thinking about 60 miles an hour on the roads. Well, sir, I didn't think about the cows, the goats, the scooters, the motorcycles, the buses, the other cars, the trucks, and in places the 1-lane road. I mean, it to travel around India, at least where we went, was not easy.
It's not easy, and only recently the government started, the last government and this government, current government, a national road programs, because for 50 years or more, India had decided not to build roads, not to build cars, not to import cars, because they simply argued a circular logic. We are poor, we cannot afford these things, so we should not have those things. But now, since 1991, or 89, I should say, the fall of the Soviet Union, a collapse of the Soviet Union, and opening of the world economy, India opening up since 91 economically and in terms of trade and political new connections, such as brand new strategic relations with the United States. All of those things made them realize finally that you cannot use this argument of poverty. You have to start building things. So they have this national road program, and the villages, of course, will take a while. So at the most, you can do maybe 40, 50 kilometers an hour on those road conditions, although there is a rapid increase in national highways that India is building.